So, good morning students. Welcome back to online class section of Analog Communication. This is Aisha Sultana, Assistant Professor of ISL Engineering College from EC Department. In the last class we have discussed about your amplitude modulation, the drawbacks of your amplitude modulation. Then we have seen the DSBSC, that is nothing but double sideband compressed or suppressed sideband carrier. So where you had suppressed completely your carrier. So actually we'll just revise with what is modulation. Okay, do you remember what is modulation? It is nothing but superimposing your carrier signal onto your message signal. So in the amplitude modulation, what we have seen that in amplitude, the amplitude of your carrier is varied in accordance with your message signal. So due to some drawbacks of your amplitude modulation, we were going for the double sideband suppressed carrier. What was the drawback in the amplitude modulation? That the power what we actually use, the total power for the transmitting of your message signal, that is completely wasted in your carrier. But whereas carrier is not at all having any information that has to be transmitted from transmitter to the receiver, right? So that's the reason what we are doing, we are reducing or we are removing the carrier completely by using your double sideband suppressed carrier. So whatever the information is present in the sidebands, only that has to be moved or passed from the transmitter to the receiver through a particular channel. So as to remove this carrier, we are using a low pass filter at the receiver side or the transmitter side also, where you can remove your carrier completely. But the thing is, you have to see whether they both when you are removing the carrier after modulation from the transmitter side, then at the receiver side you have to get the similar carrier with same frequency and phase, yes or no? So synchronization is very important in your DSBSC. Okay, so that was about your DSBSC. Next topic, as I said in the class, that we will be having suppressed sideband single carrier, right? So here what we are doing, as we said in DSBSC, double sideband suppressed carriers are there. So we are having two sidebands, upper sideband and lower sideband, but the information can be transmitted through one sideband also. So that's the reason, as to have that less bandwidth, what we are doing, we are suppressing one more sideband. So it is called as suppressed carrier, suppressed sideband, suppressed carrier signal. Okay. So that we will see in the next class, but today we are going to see about Hilbert transform. Now you have seen, you have heard about Fourier transforms, Laplace transforms or Z transforms, isn't it or not? But here we are going for the Hilbert transform. What actually is Hilbert transform? See, in your Fourier transforms, what you are having in Laplace transform, if you are having this, when you are using this kind of transforms, there will be a change from time domain representation to frequency domain representation, yes or no? Whenever you are applying Laplace transform, either it will be changing from time domain to frequency or frequency to the time domain. So complete domain will be changed. So the resulting two signals are equivalent representations of the same signals, right? In the time or frequency, in terms of time or in terms of frequency, they will be represented, but they will be two different signals, yes or no? But here in this Hilbert transform, it does not involve any change in the domain. Yeah, okay. So Hilbert transform is the one which does not change any kind of domain. Means it is not going to change your message signal or the signal from time domain to frequency domain, or it is not going to change from frequency domain to time domain. So if you give a formula definition to that one, we can also say it as when the phase of all the frequency components should be given, or signal x of t is given, then it is shifted in terms of plus or minus 90 degrees. Only in terms of 90 degrees it will be changing. Okay, only phase will be changing, but no domain will be changed. So the Hilbert transform does not involve any change of domain, unlike as of your other transforms. So here the Hilbert transform I have given it as, and it is always represented as x cap of t1. So Hilbert transform of the signal x of t is defined as transform in which phase angle of the components of all the components of the signal are to be shifted by plus or minus 90 degrees. Okay, and it is the function is represented as x cap of t. So say Hilbert transform of x of t is represented as x cap of t, and it is given as x cap of t is equals to 1 by pi, and the limit is between your always it is in limits of minus infinity to infinity, x of k divided by t minus k of dk. This is how you will represent your Hilbert transform. Your signal is in Hilbert transform. This Hilbert transform is very important because we are having, as we said in the double sideband, we are going to change the phase angle in 180 degrees. Means how we are changing, which kind of transforms will be used in this communication or the message signal. So that's the reason we are going for this Hilbert transform. Okay, so this Hilbert transform, whenever you are giving the x of t to the Hilbert transform, that Hilbert transform is nothing but given as 1 by pi t. So I am giving it as x cap of t, and all it is given as x cap of t is equals to 1 by pi minus infinity to infinity x of k by t minus k of dk, where and the inverse of this transform is also given next in the verse. So here the Hilbert transform is given as the frequency response of that particular one. So I am giving it as h of e power j omega is equals to minus j when omega is greater than 0, and 0 when omega is equal to 0, and positive plus j when omega is less than 0. Okay, so this is the idealized frequency response of your Hilbert transform. It is just changing plus 90 degrees and minus 90 degrees depending upon the phase shift. Okay, it does not change, it does not convert the time domain signal into frequency domain signal. If just we are using to convert the time domain signal to time domain signal only, but in terms of phase shift, either it is positive phase shift, either it will be negative phase shift depending upon your omega value. If it is greater than 0, you will go for positive 90 degrees of phase shift. If it is less than 0, then you will go for minus 90 degrees of phase shift, but in terms of your time domain only. Okay, so that one here I am giving example. This means the phase response pi of f, your message signal, is given as plus 90 degrees for frequencies less than 0 and minus 90 degrees for frequencies which are greater than 0. So your Hilbert transform, when you are having this in terms of Laplace transform, inverse Laplace transform, when you are applying to this one, the answer that you will be getting here, or the Hilbert transform that you are getting over here, is given as mod of h of f into e to the power of j theta of f, where it is your signal. Okay, and the h of f is nothing, as you are having the mod, obviously you will be getting the one value. So your Hilbert transform, the transform function of your Laplace transform inverse system, when you are applying to this particular system, h of f is given as 1 into e to the power of j pi by 2 for frequencies greater than 1, and it is minus 1 into e to the power of minus j by 2 pi by 2 for the frequencies which are less than 0. Okay, this is greater than 0 and these are less than 0. This your Hilbert transform is termed in terms of h of f. Clear? So these, now what I am doing, since e to the power of j by 2 is given as j, I am substituting the value as j and this is as minus j. So if I apply this one or substitute that value, then what I will get, h of f is equals to j for frequencies which are less than 0 and minus j for frequencies which are greater than 0. Yes or no? I'm just minus into minus, you'll get a plus value. So here I'm getting as for frequencies less than 0 and here you are getting as greater than 0. Now I'm taking the j term outside of your bracket. Then h of f by j is equals to 1 for frequency less than 0 and minus 1 for frequency greater than 0. And these represents your signum function. This is called as your signum function. This h of f divided by j, inverse Laplace transform of your Hilbert transform, can be given as minus signum function. Now what is signum function? Signum function is like, it is an odd mathematical function which extracts the sign of the real numbers. So it is extracting the particular sign of your real numbers. So we are giving this Hilbert transform to a signum function, where it will be extracting the signs of your real numbers and that will be used in same domain, only in time domain. So your signum function is defined as signum of f is equals to 1 for frequencies less than 0 and -1 for frequencies greater than 0. This h of f is given as nothing but Hilbert transform x cap of f divided by x of f is equals to minus j signum of f. Here, this one. So this is how you will be getting your signum function, a small derivation about your Hilbert transform. I hope you are clear with the Hilbert transform. Once again we will revise. What is actually Hilbert transform? As if your other transforms you are having Laplace or Z transforms or Fourier transform, there when you are applying these transforms, your signal may be changed from time domain to frequency domain. But here in this one, Hilbert transform does not have any change in domain, but instead it will be changing only in the phase shift. That depends completely, either it is positive phase shift or negative phase shift, and the phase shift changed is nothing but in terms of 90 degrees. And x of t is represented as your Hilbert transform. Okay, x of t is your signal, and Hilbert transform of that one is represented as x cap of t, and x cap of t is equals to 1 by pi some integration of minus infinity to infinity x of k divided by t minus k into dk, where the range should be always between minus infinity to infinity, because okay, and the range of this signum function is also from minus infinity to infinity. So that's the reason we are saying we are having the range of minus infinity to infinity. And your frequency response, how we are given, it is changing only in 90 degrees of phase shift depending upon your values of frequency. If it is greater than 0, they will go for the positive phase shift, or less than 0 for then if it is less than 0, then it will go for positive phase shift. If it is greater than 0, they will go for the negative phase shifts. Okay, then this transfer function in terms of Laplace transform system, if you are applying, how will be obtained, then what is the signum function? Actually this Hilbert transform, h of f is given as, not h of f, the Laplace transform for this particular function is given as h of f, and it is equals to x cap of f divided by x of f, which is a signum function. Means a signum function is nothing but a function which is extracting the sign of the real numbers, and the limits for them should be in the range of minus infinity to infinity. This shows, this defines your signum function. Signum function of f is equals to 1 for frequencies which are f is less than 0, minus 1 for the frequency greater than 0. Clear? So now if we revise once again, then strictly speaking about your Hilbert transform, it does not transform in any sense, right? So first what the two things will be happening. First is the result of Hilbert transform is not equivalent to your original signal. Yes, because it will be changing in terms of phase, right? Rather than it is completely different signal, but not in other domain. It is in same domain, but your frequency shift will be there. Either it's a positive 90 degrees or it will be a negative 90 degrees, minus 90 degrees. Okay, that was the first thing. And the second thing was the Hilbert transform does not involve any domain change. Okay, that is your Hilbert transform x of t is another signal denoted by x cap of t in the same domain, that is in time domain itself, not in the frequency domain. So these are the two things that we will be talking about your Hilbert transform. One is your first one is you are having the same signal, but rather than it will be having a phase shift. Second thing is it does not change any kind of domain, but rather it will be in the time domain. It won't change in the frequency domain. Instead it will be having only phase shift, that is of plus 90 degrees or minus 90 degrees depending upon the frequency range what you are using. Okay, now see what Hilbert transform actually shows you. This Hilbert transform of a signal x of t or x cap of t whose frequency component is lagging the component of 90 degrees, then what actually it will be having. So this Hilbert transform, if it is having frequency components, then it will be having 90 degrees of phase delay with the amplitude, except that we will be having, if the amplitude is there of a massive signal, then it will be having a 90 degrees of phase delay. So at that particular phase delay, what you will be having, this Hilbert transform x of t can be given as a cos 2 pi f naught t plus theta, or then again if you have to change into 90 degrees phase delay, then what you have to do here, at a theta you have to extract, means you have to neglect, lag means you have to subtract the particular phase change, right? So what here the Hilbert transform x of t is equals to what here the AC cos of 2 pi f naught t plus theta minus 90 degrees. As we said, there will be a lag of minus 90 degrees of phase delay. So we are lagging over here. So we have to subtract minus 90 degrees of phase delay you have to apply. So that's the reason we'll get as cos 90 degrees, then we'll have sin theta. So AC sine of 2 pi f naught t plus theta. This is how your frequency components lag when the frequency components are used by x of t, that is your message signal, by 90 degrees in frequency components. Clear? So and how delay will be taken, that is pi by 2, nothing but your 90 degrees. So your e j pi to f naught t will become your e j 2 pi f naught t minus 90 degrees, you are lagging, so it becomes your minus j e to the power of j 2 pi f naught t, which is you already seen in the last slide. Then if you are having e to the power of minus j 2 pi f naught t, if you are applying 90 degrees of delay to that one, then you will be having e to the power of minus j 2 pi f naught t minus pi by 2. So here you will be coming a positive term, that is called as j e to the power of 2 pi f naught t. Where at these positive frequencies, the spectrum of the signal will be multiplied by minus j. At all the negative frequencies, then your spectrum will be multiplied with plus j. This you have to remember. All the positive frequencies will be multiplied with minus j, and all the negative frequencies will be multiplied with your positive j. So these equivalent, what we are saying, to be said as spectrum of Fourier transform, and the signal will be multiplied by your signum function. So as we said, this is minus j and minus 1, right? So all positive terms and negative terms will be multiplied with plus j and minus j. So these shows your signum function. What we said, the signum function is nothing but which extract the sign of your real numbers. So we are extracting the signs over here. So these extracting the signs are showing the signs, or adding or adding the signs, positive frequencies or negative frequencies. So this is called as your signum function. So this is equivalent to saying that the spectrum of the signal is multiplied with the signum function. I'll repeat it once again. When you are applying the delay, so we are applying a delay of 90 degrees. So when you apply this 90 degrees to your signal, you got these values minus j into e to the power of 2 pi f naught t, and again you got j into e to the power of 2 pi f naught into t. So to this spectrum, what you are applying, multiplying minus j value for all the positive frequencies, and you are multiplying plus j values to all negative frequencies. So this is actually, it is called as, say what you are saying, this is all equivalent to saying that the spectrum of the signal is multiplied by your signum function, because signum functions we are having plus j and minus j values. There we are applying, multiplying this signum function to your signals, either message signals. So that's the reason we are saying that signum function is used, or it is multiplied to your or used in your Hilbert transform. I hope you are clear. If you are having any doubts, please let me know. So this Hilbert transform, if you are applying at the DC components, how it will be looked, and what are the filtering, what are the operation that is equivalent to for your terms we will be seeing here. So here what we had, when you are applying to a DC component, you assume that your signal x of t is real and has a DC component in that one. Okay, so that is given as your x of f, where f is equals to 0, and if it is equals to 0, you will be having 0 value. So I am applying a Fourier transform over here. So f of x cap of t, this is your Hilbert transform, that is given as we already said, it is a signum function. So minus j signum of f into x of f, because it is a frequency DC component we are saying. There we had, so Hilbert transform, what we had, x cap of t is equals to minus j signum of f into x of t we had, means in time domain representation. If you are using this figure DC component or frequency representation, I am using it as like this. So I am applying inverse transform to that one. So f inverse of minus j signum function of f is equals to 1 by pi t. Of course it is changing in what is frequency. So I'll get the value this as 1 by pi t. So your x cap of t is equals to 1 by pi t into x of t, and that is given as 1 by pi, and the integration, your limits are ranging from minus infinity to infinity, and x of 2 by t minus 2 into d tau. This is called as inverse Hilbert transform, and this star mark here shows the convolution, 1 by pi t into convolution of x of t. Okay, this is how your DC component, or the system that provides the Hilbert transform, which has impulse function. DC components is nothing but you are having the impulse response. If it is having the impulse response, then you will be getting this 1 by pi t. So if you are applying to this one, and if you are applying inverse transform to this one, you will be getting this one, and you are having this convolution. Okay, a system is able to provide Hilbert transform which has impulse response also. Impulse response is nothing but 1 by pi t. So if you are having only x cap of t is equals to, I'll tell in terms of what we'll say, normal x of t. So x of t is equals to x of t into convolution of 1 by pi t. That was your normal Hilbert transform. When you are having inverse Hilbert transform, you are applying the inverse Fourier transform to that one, and the resultant output will be x cap of t is equals to 1 by pi into convolution of x of t, and that is given as 1 by pi, and the limit ranges are from minus infinity to infinity, x of 2 divided by t minus 2, that is time change, into d tau. This is how your frequency component, and if you are having the impulse response to that one also, we are going to see here. Okay, now I'll just say some of the characteristics of the system, what actually they are specified. The very first characteristic is that the magnitude of the frequency components which are present in your x of t, means your message signal, that remains unchanged. The magnitude will be remain always unchanged, and when it is passing from the system, when you are having 1, that is nothing but h of f is equals to 1. And first one, your component, your message signal x of t, whose frequency component, magnitude of the frequency, means the magnitude of your message signal will not be changed. That is the first characteristic. Yes or no? Because only we are changing the phase, but we are not going to change the magnitude of that one. Second one, the system produces a phase shift of plus 90 degrees. I'll say plus 90 degrees in x of t for all the negative values components, for all negative value frequency components, and it will be given a minus 90 degrees of phase shift for all the positive components. These are the two characteristics we have said. We have already discussed it in the previous slides also. I hope you people remember. So when performing this Hilbert transform, a signal is equivalent to 90 degrees of phase shift, but it depends upon the frequency components. If your frequency components are from what we'll say negative frequency components, if you are having, so which shift we will do, which phase shift will we do, that is plus 90 degrees of phase shift. If your frequency components are negative positive, then what we will do, we are going for the minus 90 degrees of phase shift. You remember vice versa. If you are having positive frequency components, then minus 90 degrees of phase shift. If you are having negative frequency components, you will be going for the positive phase shift, 90 degrees of phase shift. So therefore, what we can lastly we can say that the only change that Hilbert transform performs on the signal is changing its phase. I have repeated it for 2 to 3 times. Hilbert transform only changes the phase of the signal. It does not completely change or transform from time domain to frequency domain. As I have already said that we are having two characteristics. One is the amplitude of the frequency components of the signal do not change when you are performing the Hilbert transform, and on the other hand, since performing you are performing this Hilbert transform, it changes the sign from cosine to sines, because if you are applying the impulse response and if you are going for that one, this cos theta is changed to your what we have said sin theta. So only signs will be changed. So as signs change, we will get what into consideration, signum function. So signum function is used in your Hilbert transform. Also the Hilbert transform introduces a 90 degrees phase shift. Okay, it is what we say carrying it twice cos of 180 degrees phase shift, which can cause a sign reversal of your original signal. So whatever the original signal you are having, you get a sign difference, right? So plus 90 degrees minus 90. So where there will be only change of signs in your message or your modulated signal, but there will be no any distraction or a distortion by using this one. As in DSPSC we said it will be having a 180 degrees of phase shift, but using Hilbert transform we are doing only 90 degrees of phase shift. But the only thing that will be happened over here is we will be having change in the signs. So as we are having the change in the signs, that's the reason we are also having the signum functions. I hope you remember the characteristics. There are two characteristics of your Hilbert transform. One is the magnitude or the amplitude of the frequency components will never change, and only they will be changing in the signs, and for all the positive frequency components there will be negative 90 degrees of phase shift, and for all the negative frequency components there will be having a positive phase shift. So here we are having some properties. Actually there are 4 different properties. With proof I have given. One is the property x of t, and is what we'll say, if a signal x of t and its Hilbert transform x of t have same magnitude spectrum, then what happens? Then it is one property. Then we are having the Hilbert transform in a negative sign, even and odds. This you will also see. Then you will be see that they have mutually orthogonal, means that x of t into x cap of t should be given as 0. And lastly, x cap of t should have the same energy spectrums, means your x of t, the original message signal, and your Hilbert transformed signal x cap of t should be having same energy spectrums. That are the 4 properties. I'll just tell you. First one is evenness and oddness. What is even and what is odd? Here the Hilbert transform of an even signal is odd. Yes or no? Where if you are having positive frequency component, you are go for negative phase shift. If you are having negative frequency components, you are going for the positive phase shift. So the Hilbert transform of an even signal is odd, and the Hilbert transform of an odd signal is even. And so that we are having this signum function. Repeatedly I am again and again revising this signum function, means it is a function which extracts the signs of your original message signal. So I'll just read the proof. Okay, x of t is even, then x of f is real, and it is also even function. Therefore your minus j, your signum function is imaginary and odd. See, x of t is even, then you will get an odd function. And if you are applying the inverse transform to that one, if you are having inverse Fourier transform, then it will be also odd. If your x of t is odd, then your function will be even. So when you are applying the inverse transform also at the Laplace transform also, then you will be getting a even function. So Hilbert transform of an even signal will be odd, and the Hilbert transform of your odd signal will be even. Thus, so you will be using this minus j signum function of your x of f, and that will be even. I hope you are clear. Okay. Then you are having sign reversal. Of course, you will be having a sign reversal, right? Hilbert transform is nothing but you are having a property of sign reversal. So applying the Hilbert transform, the operation to the signal causes the twice of a sign reversal. One time if I am applying the sign x of t, I will be getting one sign. Double time I am applying twice, the cause a sign reversal in that one. So if I apply x cap of t is equals to x of t. If I am applying Hilbert transform twice to that signal, x cap of t, then at that particular time I will get minus x of t. This is how you will say. This is applying the sign reversal. Applying the Hilbert transform function to a signal twice. If I am applying this Hilbert transform twice, first x cap of t is equals to what we said, x of t. Then again I am applying the Hilbert transform to that function. Firstly it was transformed. So x cap of t is equals to minus x of t. So if you apply Fourier transform, so what you will go, x cap of t, the first one was here minus j signum of f, right? Minus j signum of f whole square into x of f. So if I am applying minus j whole square, then obviously I will get minus 1 value. So x cap of t is equals to minus x of f, means it does not connect have any kind of impulse at any origin. Okay, so this was the second property. First property was if you are having even signals, then you will be getting the answer in odd. If you are applying a transform to an odd signal, then you will be getting even. Second was your sign reversal. Third, as I said, the energy should be same. The energy content of the signal should be equal to or same to the energy content of your Hilbert transform. So I'm applying a Rayleigh theorem over here of the Fourier transform. So E of x, and your range should be always from minus infinity to infinity, and this is your message signal x of t mod of x of t mod whole square into dt. If you are applying to this one, obviously I'll got x of f in terms of Fourier transform. Then if you apply the same thing for your Hilbert transform also, you will be getting the same energy level. Okay, so by using this fact that the energy content or the energy level of your signal and the energy content of your Hilbert transformed signal should be same. So due to this, what we'll say that it does not contain any kind of impulses at the origin. Okay, so if it is equals to 1, using the fact minus j signum function of f whole square is equals to 1, except for f is equals to 0 at origin. So it shows that there will be no any kind of impulses. In last property also we have said, here in the sign reversal there are no impulses in the origin. Here in the energy also we are not having any impulses in the origin. And the last one is your orthogonality. You already know what is orthogonality. X of t into x cap of t is equals to 0, that you have to get, and obviously you are getting over here x of t integration of minus infinity to infinity x of t into x cap of x of t, that we have done over here. This is x of f function. You are applying Fourier transform. X cap of t is given as minus j signum of x of f into x of f df. Then I'm taking out the constant terms over here and applying then multiplying, then I'll get addition over here. So minus into plus minus. So I'm having x cap or x of f mod whole square into df plus j into minus 0. I'm just splitting the range of your Hilbert transform, that is from minus infinity to 0 one part, and from 0 to infinity other part. I am splitting into two terms. So if I am applying x of f, mean that is nothing but x of t, Fourier transform of f of t, then Fourier transform of x of f, Hilbert transform, then addition of both or multiplication of both gives you 0. So this is how you will be getting the orthogonality also. So this was your about Hilbert transform. Once again we'll revise. What is Hilbert transform? Hilbert transform is nothing but a transform which does not change the domain of your signal from either from frequency time domain to frequency domain. Is just changing the phase, that is from plus to minus 90 degrees or minus 90 degrees depending upon the frequency components. If you are having the positive frequency components, you are going for the minus 90 degrees of phase shift. If you are having plus frequency positive frequency components, then you will be going for minus 90 degrees of phase shift. So this is how it will be shown. This is your frequency and amplitude. This was the definition of your Hilbert transform, correct? So it won't change any phase in terms of your time domain or frequency domain, just phase will be changed. And the two characteristics were there. The amplitude of the signal will not be changed, right? And what you said, there will be a phase change from plus 90 degrees and minus 90 degrees depending upon the frequency components. And what we have said in the characteristics, one more was here, you will be changing the signs either from cos theta to sin theta. That was the characteristics of your Hilbert transform. Then we have seen the properties. We are having 4 properties: evenness and oddness. Evenness means when an even signal is applied for the Hilbert transform, odd signal will be obtained. If you are having the odd signal for the Hilbert transform, you will get an even signal. What was the first property? Second property was the sign reversal. If you are applying the Hilbert transform for twice to a particular signal, 2 times if you are applying the Hilbert transform for a particular signal, then there is a sign of the message signal or the signal will be, original signal will be changed. That is x cap of t is equals to minus x of t. Third one was energy content. Energy content of your original signal and the energy content of your Hilbert transform should be same. And the fourth one was the orthogonality. When you are applying producting your original signal and the Hilbert transformed signal, the product should get as 0. So this was about your Hilbert transform, one of the important topic of your analog communication. I hope you are clear with this Hilbert transform. In case of any doubts, please let me know. So for today's class, we will end the section up to here. Okay, thank you.